So there are generally two types of salespeople. The salespeople who sell very quickly, who are quick on their feet, they interrupt their prospects, they have quick clapbacks, and generally people kind of view that as fairly attractive in terms of a closer, like, or a setter, just very quick to think in very questions, etc. And closer number two, or salesperson number two, is the type of person who maybe takes a little bit longer and allows prospects to sit in what they're saying. They allow their prospects to complete their thoughts and allow them to come up with their own conclusions and allow just a little bit more space. And more often than not, you don't see any sort of mix or mesh of the two. And I think that that is a complete travesty, because I have paid hundreds of thousands of dollars in sales coaching at this point to learn from the best in the world. And I will see people on one of the two ends of the spectrum, but very rarely anybody who can move variably between the two. Somebody who can sell quickly, who can be on top of things, who can have these quick clapbacks, but also at the same time allowing space and allowing prospects to finish their thoughts and take their ideas to fruition. And I'm here today to explain to you when is the right time to use both, as well as how to increase your ability to move between the two. All right. Now, when to move quickly. Personally, all of this is going to be opinions just based off of my experience. If you don't know me, my name's Christian Jack. I've sold over $100 million in the high ticket space. And there are some very true things and some very not true things in life. However, when it comes to this stuff, it is very much so just opinions, and everybody's going to have theirs. And so this video, I'm just going to give you mine. And if you, at the end of the video, would like to just go ahead and learn more from me, there's going to be a link down in the description below to join my sales training program, the Sales Dojo, for 7 days for free as my gift to you. So, when to move quickly. There's a lot of situations that may call for this, but at the end of the day, the way I view moving quickly is as a trainer, okay? Think of it this way. Number one, don't think of your prospects as a dog, but in this instance, I'm going to ask you to, okay? When you are training a dog, if you've never had a dog in your life, just look it up online. When you're training a dog, it's very important to give very quick feedback loops, right? When a dog misbehaves, you need to immediately introduce some sort of behavioral reward or punishment around whatever it is that you're wanting to do. And specifically, you want to introduce more rewards than punishments, right? It's very interesting that the brain doesn't actually process punishments the same way as it does rewards. And you definitely shouldn't be the salesperson on a sales call, like thinking of like how to punish your prospect. Like, it's not a good frame of mind to be in. But what you do want to do is figure out how you can reward your prospects very quickly whenever they are giving you something that is a good thing. As an example, when they start to open up a little bit more. Maybe when they're very honest with you. Maybe when they're vulnerable for a moment. Those are times when you want to quickly reward your prospect. And so that's a great time where speed can be on your side. Another time where it can be useful, you have to be very careful of this one, but where it can be useful is if a prospect is starting to go down the wrong path of thinking, and especially if they're a rambler. See, prospects more often than not, and just people in general, right? People make decisions that make sense to them. Shockingly enough, that is how every single decision is made in human history, is that somebody decided that that was the best course of action. Somehow, some way, they came to that conclusion. And more often than not, if you are with a prospect on a call, they probably haven't made this decision already because of some sort of set of behaviors or beliefs that have held them back from doing so in the past. And so naturally, when you get on calls with people, they're going to have some limiting beliefs, they're going to have some negative behaviors, they're going to have all sorts of mental blockers. Oftentimes, not always for sure, but oftentimes people will have these things that block them from making decisions in their life just because of their experiences, because of how they grew up, because of childhood trauma, because of behavioral patterns and reward pathways as they grew up. And that's okay. However, when somebody starts going down that path of thinking and they start just verbalizing all these negative things, it can be very helpful to just quickly cut that off through whatever means you want to use, whether it be pattern interrupts, whether it be confusion, whether it be just directly telling them stop thinking that way because it's not actually helping you and explaining to them why. There's all sorts of different ways that you can do that. And if you want to learn more about that, we go over that literally every single day of the week inside of the Sales Dojo. Just hit that link down in the description below to join. So moving quickly in a call can be very good for those things. Another time where moving quickly can be very helpful is when you are in data discovery mode. So maybe you're speaking to a business owner, maybe you're speaking to a salesperson who wants to increase their commissions. Whenever you're going through numbers with somebody, it can be very helpful to go through quickly and actually out of order, right? So if you go through quickly, people don't really have a ton of time to think about how to fib on their numbers, how to lie about their numbers. They will just be forced to give you the truthful answer. Because if you've ever done quick data discovery, you understand that people will oftentimes stretch their numbers. They will oftentimes lie about their numbers in order to make themselves feel good or come across a different way to you as another human being on the call because they have some level of ego. It could be a million different things. But moving quickly when you're going through data discovery can be very, very helpful in order to get the truth. Because in order to concoct a lie, the human brain has to actually do more things. It has to come up with this thing that isn't true versus just giving the correct answer, right? If I told you to lie about what color my shirt is, it may take you a second to come up with what color you want to use. However, if I just ask you what color is my shirt and you say black, it is immediate. So moving quickly then kind of forces people to tell more of the truth when it comes to the data discovery. And then you can add on top of that as an extra layer of protection, asking the data questions out of order. So maybe if you understand how high ticket sales calls work, you understand that it's like the number of calls booked, the number of showed appointments, the number of closed deals after that, the number of referrals and upsells off the back of that, etc. So maybe instead of asking, how many calls did you book last week? How many of those showed, etc. I'm going to ask, how much revenue did you bring in last week? Okay, and that was from how many calls? And how much of that was actually cash? And okay, got it. So how many of those actually were like showed up appointments from the booked calls? Okay, so then that means how many got actually closed? So I'm kind of going from first to last and working my way inward so as to, again, kind of just overload the person's brain so that they can't actually concoct a lie. They have to tell you the truth, okay? Those are probably my 3 favorite ways to use speed on a sales call. There are some much more advanced topics that we can get into in how to use speed on calls, but I'm not going to get into it today. If you'd like to get into it, then join the dojo. Now, some of my favorite ways to go slowly on sales calls. These are very, very important, just as important as going quickly, and it can be just as impactful. So, number 1 on going slow is allowing somebody, a prospect, namely, to think about what they just said, to question what it is that they said without questioning it. When you allow somebody to say something, and then you are just quiet, and you look at them, maybe even raise an eyebrow, maybe smile, their brain will naturally start running through versions of what they just said and what they think you might be thinking inside of your head because you're just quiet for a moment. And this will give them a moment to think through and kind of put themselves inside of your perspective as an unbiased third party, which can be very, very helpful if maybe they are expressing some sort of limiting belief. Maybe they are having some sort of mental blocker around making a decision around something. And just giving them that extra space to think through things will do more wonders than you probably even understand. Okay, so that is number 1. Number 2 favorite way to go slow on calls is in the emotionally impactful portions of calls. I think it's very, very important to go slowly and allow people to not only think through their own conclusions for things, but actually mentally process and emotionally process what's going on. If you're anything like me, you have very emotional conversations when you take sales calls. And with very emotional conversations and in doing those all day, every day, you can become sort of numb to the level of depth and the level of impact and the amount of change, life change, emotional change, childhood trauma uprooting, all these sorts of things, rewiring of the human brain that happens inside of this short 30-minute call, or maybe 45 minutes or an hour. And because we do it all the time, we kind of become desensitized to just how much is actually happening here. These are conversations that sometimes people go to therapy for months in order to overcome these sorts of things. And you're doing it in 30, 45, 60 minutes. So going slowly during these sections, I think, is very, very important to not only allow the gravity of the situation to sink in, but to also allow the prospects to have the time to process what's really going on, to actually process the change. Because see, when you change too quickly, then the change doesn't stick. If you've ever been maybe overweight and you started going to the gym immediately the next day, you decided, you know what, I'm going to go from not going to the gym at all to going to the gym twice a day. And I'm going to change my entire diet to just be carnivore diet. So I'm not going to eat anything but meats. And I'm not going to drink any sort of sugary drinks or anything, just water from now on. And maybe you're coming from having a sweet tooth. I'm sure you can just start to picture this. It's not a hard and fast rule, but I would say the large majority of people who decide to do that, they will not do what I call keep the change, right? They will not keep the change over a course of time. They may keep it for 2, 3, 5, 7, 14, 21 days, maybe even longer. But I guarantee that the majority of people who do that will not keep the change for a meaningful period of time. And so if you are on this sales call with this person and you truly have the best intentions and that you want to help them change their life for the better, then you need to go slow so that they keep the change. Because it's not about just making the purchasing decision at the end of the call. That is literally step 0. That is a prerequisite in order to go and make the actual change in their life. So last but not least, the third favorite way to go slow on sales calls is when you are aligning things with the prospect and what they've said that they find valuable. So this could be in the pitch, this could be post-pitch, this could be pre-pitch, wherever you want to kind of do it, but it's generally focused around the pitch, is whatever the person finds valuable, you are tying what you do to that, and it is a fantastic time to go really, really slow. Because, again, you're allowing the prospect time to mentally process what you're saying, see the implications of it, imagine how things could change in the future. You're giving their brain time to dream for a second, really, is what you're doing. And if you rush somebody's dream in the moment, then they're just going to wake up from it. And there is massive power in allowing somebody to sit there and dream for a second. It's a process called visualization that literally Olympic athletes use to prepare for their races, for their events, for everything that they do. That elite military units use to prepare for high-stress combat situations. Visualization is a very, very powerful thing. Whether you've heard of it or used it before or not, it is true. And so you want to give your prospect time to actually visualize the implementation of what it is that you're going to be helping them with, how it changes things, how it impacts outcomes, and how it might even change what they've been living right now. So Those are my favorite ways to go quickly and to go slowly on sales calls, the best ways to implement them. And at the end of the day, you may implement these and you may find out, maybe there's some validity to what Christian is saying, or maybe you'll find that, you need a little bit of tweaking, or you might want a little bit of help. So if you do want any help, go ahead and hit that link down in the description below and join my free sales training community. You get to join for free for 7 days, and I will be happy to go through with you and spot check you. You can submit some call reviews in that time, and I will review every single one that you submit. So hit that link down there, and I will see you inside.